What month is this?
Men's Month!
What month?
Men's Month!
Let's take it to another level. Let's take it to the old school.
My name is Deacon R.J. Cleveland. I'd like to thank you for joining us to what we have planned for Men's Day.
I'm Marcus Campbell, and the purpose of the men's ministry is to be effective disciples for Christ. Our objectives, we refer to them as the 4 M's: ministry, monitoring, mentoring, and final M is maturing, being examples in the community in conduct and conversations, and transitioning from the baby foods to the solid food spiritually.
You can't feed your faith with junk food because McDonald's can't hold you down. You need food, some good old grits in the morning. In the evening, you need some collard greens. You need some cornbread. So it's the same thing with your faith. You can't fill up your faith with junk food. You got to fill your faith with some good spiritual food.
Born in North Carolina, I dropped the county line. Yeah, I came up in the struggle.
Our theme for this year is Men Radically Charged Up for Justice.
I ain't proud of the past, but I'm proud of the fact that I'm not who I was now.
I'm Deacon T.A. Spalding for St. Stephen's Men's Ministry is presenting I Am Restored, 4-week virtual Bible study by gospel rap artist Lecrae Moore.
I lost everything I had inside a couple years. Lost my faith, I lost my mind, I lost a lot of tears.
It's going to be September the 14th, the 21st, the 28th, and October the 5th at 6:30 p.m. Men and women, everybody's invited. And go to men@ssclive.org. And when you register, you get a free study guide. So I encourage everyone to join in and study. It will help your life.
Use all this pain, use all this hurt, grow me, yeah. If that's what it takes to know what I'm worth, restore me. Shackles on my feet. I just wanna praise you. I just wanna praise you. Pray this hold on. Let me go.
It is Men's Month at St. Stephen Church, and we are so excited about what God is going to be doing with the men all month long. I'm Minister Kevin James. I am Senior Executive Minister of Music here at St. Stephen Church, and I am so excited to share our lesson with you on next week. The apostolic man of God, James Davis, will be in the house, and then that great Ken Joseph will be on the next, and then the following last Wednesday, Reverend Corey Bailey. It's going to be a major time. So I'm just going to lay the tracks, and then I'm going to let them drive the train.
Hey, tell them, you can pick a side if you wanna. You already know who I roll with. You don't want no problems with me. Get these shackles on my feet.
So Jesus took his ministry and said, I'm going to free those that are oppressed by flipping over these tables.
Our speaker for Men's Day is the Reverend Dr. Jermaine Kallesser. He's the senior pastor of Dallas Temple Seventh-day Adventist Church in Dallas, Texas.
The payday loan advance shops, the title loan advance shops. That's what it would be today. If Jesus was here, he would overthrow any table that was robbing poor people of what they were supposed to have.
To wrap it up, September 26th, Men's Day. Join us on Hump Day on Wednesdays. Join us on the Lecrae series, which will be on Tuesdays. Also, remember your pledge of $150 and have a great time.
I got them shackles off my feet, yeah. Can't put me back up in them streets, yeah. I couldn't move, but now I'm free, yeah. I got them shackles on my feet, yeah.
We're here to discuss a topic a lot of parents are asking about, COVID-19 vaccination for children. I'm Dr. Crystal Narcisse, and I practice internal medicine and pediatrics at Norton Healthcare. I'm here today with Dr. Katie Hopkins.
Hi, I'm Dr. Hopkins, and I'm a pediatric psychologist with Norton Children's Medical Group.
Dr. Hopkins, I'm going to start off with talking about the potential benefits of the vaccine. Number one, we know that children, when they get COVID-19, are less likely to get very sick or wind up in the hospital. However, they can spread it to other people. And what we're trying to do is limit the amount of people getting the virus and the amount of death and hospitalizations. So one, we know that the more people who are vaccinated, the more we can return to normal life. Kids hanging out with their friends, seeing family members they haven't seen for the last 18 months, and also hopefully going to school full time.
So I think it's really important to emphasize how important it is for our kids to get back to seeing their friends and getting back to those social activities that they've really missed out on over the course of these past 14 months or so. That's really super vital to our mental health, to their mental health. We've seen the impacts of removing those activities and those friends and social interactions in our kids, and so really making sure that they're healthy when they're spending time with their friends is going to be super important in not only protecting their physical health but also improving their mental health. And I think that that's such an important thing right now for us all to consider. I know a lot of parents are really wondering about the difference between FDA approval and emergency use approval. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. With FDA approval of a vaccine, it usually takes years for that to happen. With emergency use, the process by which the COVID vaccination, it has been a little shorter. However, corners have not been cut. It has been studied in over 2,000 children, and the vaccine has been determined to be safe. What has been shortened is the manufacturing process. So the vaccine is safe. Children are less likely to have any side effects. The side effects of the vaccine are a tenderness at the vaccination site, sometimes feeling a little ill, feverish, and sometimes you can get lymph nodes that can be a little bit large, and sometimes that can get a little tender. But for the most part, the vaccine is safe for children. Katie, I get asked the question a lot. We do not know the effects of the vaccine in 5 to 10 years. What I can tell you that with COVID-19, if you get it, you can have brain fogginess, malaise, fatigue, weakness, lots of those things. And getting the vaccine can help prevent you from having that. So for me, it is almost a situation of the lesser of two evils. And I'm not calling the vaccine evil, but I do know that I personally don't want to get COVID-19 or pass it on to my family or my patients. And getting the vaccine will help prevent children from passing along to their grandparents, their parents, and other people. We encourage parents to learn more about the safety and effectiveness of the coronavirus vaccines. If you have further questions, please reach out to your child's pediatrician. If you are ready to schedule a COVID-19 vaccination for your child, you can schedule online at nortonchildrens.com.
But everybody, look at this lean man right here. He is our very own Mr. Devon Holt, who is the VP of External Affairs for Goodwill Industries, correct?
Of Kentucky.
Goodwill, I'm right, get me correct. Devon, we've missed you so much.
It's so good to be back in the building. It's so good. Miss Crystal, I was in service the last worship service before COVID shut everything down.
Oh,
and there were so many questions about what would happen. One thing I was certain of is that my friend, our pastor, Kevin Cosby, was not going to let the good work of this church fade off into the sunset. And here we are over a year later, still talking about the great works of St. Stephen Church. So
I know,
God is good.
we never stopped. We had a very special COVID skeleton crew, and we kept that bus rolling. Dr. Cosby kept with his sermons, his daily devotionals, and God has truly, truly blessed. Hey, speaking of blessings, you are such a blessing to our city. West Louisville is going to be gaining something very special under your leadership. Talk about it. You've been over Goodwill for about 2 years now. Talk about all the things that have been going on.
It's been about 2 years since I started at Goodwill, and I'm happy to say, in the most literal way that it could be said, is that I'm bringing something good to the hood.
Come on now.
And,
yes.
I started at Goodwill on May 13th, and on May 14th, I got wind that our board had an interest to consider relocating to West Louisville. And when I got that little bit of seed, I took that and turned that into this reality that's coming to fruition now. We've purchased 20 acres on the corner of 28th and Broadway, old Cypress Solutions building, for those of you who are familiar with the Louisville community, and next to the NIA Center. And we are in the process now, Ms. Crystal, of demolishing an old 400,000 square foot manufacturing facility on a brownfield site that was a black eye to the community, dilapidated, run down, safety hazard for many people in the community. So that building is coming down. In its place will be what we're calling an opportunity campus.
Yes.
And this will be a campus not where Goodwill will have a retail store. I need to be really clear. I'm not bringing retail to the community.
Yeah, break it
I'm
down.
bringing a campus that will change lives to the community.
Yes, yes.
And essentially the dream is this, is that in the same way that you could go to the mall and shop for a suit in one store, shoes in another store, jewelry in another store, shirt and tie in another, you'll be able to come to our campus and shop for services, programs, and other activities that help you rebuild your life. Wow. And so we'll have not only Goodwill programs and services, but we'll have other community agencies co-located under one roof with us, where we'll have Second Chance Banking, we'll have job training, we'll have career training, we'll have all of these services and functions under one roof, under one campus, to make it really convenient for people to rebuild their lives right there on the corner of 28th and Broadway.
Wow. Listen, we are almost out of time, but Devon, you speak with so much passion about West Louisville. It reminds me of, remember those McDonald's commercials from the 90s when Calvin got a job at McDonald's? And they said, Calvin's at McDonald's, and he's from the community. I believe everyone feels that way because you live in West Louisville. You support and love West Louisville, and now you're helping to build up this industry to support West Louisville. Real quick, talk about why this is so important for you.
Well, for years, I've invested not just my personal time and energy, but my professional career. I've had opportunities, Ms. Crystal, to chase big money and do some other things, and I've tipped into some of those environments, but every time I do that, my heart pulls me back to my home. And it's the story of Nehemiah. Nehemiah recognized the walls in his community had come down, and Nehemiah said, I got to go back home and rebuild those walls, and that's been my story.
Come on now. You give me, Devon, we love you. We are so proud. Everybody show some love for Devon Holt. We are so proud of you. As worship is up next, Reth has a powerful word. Don't faint before you finish. See, we had technical issues and all, but we kept pushing ahead. Hey, don't go anywhere. Share this broadcast. Welcome to worship.
At this moment, I have the amazing Miss Sharon Brinkley, who is a founding member. Miss Sharon, can you tell us first, welcome to Founders Day, and 8 years. It has been a marvelous journey. Can you tell us a little bit about how this journey began?
This past year,
I am a close member of the Hardy County of the Louisville campus. And I've been a member of St. Stephen's now for 15 years.
Have a chance to talk about
and when I heard about Pastor Tinless coming to Hardin County, we were overjoyed. The founding members.
So the question is, how do we encourage socialization in a time of social
so fortunate and blessed.
Well, that's when we can really get creative. Experts in creativity in your own home as your teenagers.
Here we are at the Hardin County campus celebrating 8 wonderful years. It's Founders Day, and we are so happy to have with us today our magnificent, our beautiful Miss Brenda. Miss Brenda, how are you doing on this beautiful Founders Day?
Girl, let me tell you, things are amazing. That has been the
Zoom
word
call, I'm sure,
for
over this
me
past
to
year,
everybody in regards to my campus. I say my campus because it's personal to me. Listen, pre-COVID, God brought me through. He laid me on my back with cancer, but then shortly after that, he raised me up. Girl, I was
During this COVID period, you had a health scare.
Yes,
and
I
were
did.
you able to get engaged? And how did your St. Stephen's family, were they there? How did they help? Tell us a little bit about that part of your journey.
Well, in the beginning, I was so afraid. I didn't tell anybody but God. However, I reached out to my pastor, I reached out to my department head, not because I was ashamed or afraid, but because I needed to go behind the veil. The only time and place to go behind the veil is in secret prayer. And I know I got a praying church family. You hear me? Because 3 months later, when I tell you they told me I was stage 2 cancer, when they went in, it was stage 1, and when they came out, I am cancer free. So all I can say is amazing. And it's been 8 long years, and I'm pushing on forward.
Quality sleep.
It's a beautiful day for a Founders Day anniversary, and we are celebrating number 8. Yay! Team Hardin here with me, Team Gaskins. They are founding members for the Hardin County campus, and they actually started at the Louisville campus. Would you all like to share with us about your journey from Louisville to Hardin County and where you are right now?
Wow, you start.
Well, I like to first start off by saying we was part of the original meetings down in the Life Center with Kevin James, Brother Stu, and we signed up for every ministry. I signed up for Usher Board, our family, my wife, and we're here today 8 years later.
Amen. And I oversee the volunteer at the Hardin County campus. So if you ever need a volunteer position, come see me and I can help you get acclimated.
Amen. That's beautiful. Lonnie and Laquita, they do everything. You heard it. Everything right here at the Hardin County campus. They are important to us, and we're so thankful to have you guys here with us. Can you tell me, what was it like for you when you were during COVID? Were you able to minister online, and how did that go for you?
Yes, we was able to minister online. My husband, he wasn't all into technology at the time, but now he gets in in the morning cooking breakfast, and he get Facebook set up and YouTube set up on the TV, and him and the kids, we just eat breakfast and watch service.
You heard it right here. I would like to add one more thing. As a Hardin County campus, we are located right near a military base, and it is always a blessing to have our armed forces, the strongest, the bravest in the land, to come and worship with us. Sometimes they get stationed elsewhere and they have to leave, but we do have those jewels who are able and blessed to stick around for the enduring of it all. And these two right here happen to be 2 of those people. So thank you guys for your service, not only to America, but to God and to St. Stephen family and to everyone that you love and care about, because we connect them as we get connected, right? Amen. So again, we're going to do 1, 2, 3 cheers for Founders Day, 8 years. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much. Once again, welcome to the pre-worship experience. I'm your host, Miss Crystal,
and I'm Tyler Anderson.
He's my host today, y'all. Tell him to stay, Tyler. All right. Hope you're having a wonderful morning. Welcome back to all of our members that are joining us here on campus, and welcome to everyone that is joining us online. Hey, without further ado, let's get to today's very special guest, Congressman John Yarmuth, and he is also the chairman of the House Budget Committee. He has always been a friend to West Louisville and a friend to Simmons and St. Stephen Church, and we are so excited to have you today. Y'all can do a little bit of better warm welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Crystal. Thanks, and good morning to everyone here. I sense such joy from all the people who are back for the first time, and I'm thrilled to be here for the first time back. It's a great honor to be part of this.
Well, we're so excited to have you. So let's get right to the conversation. The last time you and I talked was on January 6th, a couple of hours before something that took place that will go down in infamy, I guess we could say. You were our special guest for the West Louisville Forum, and we were just chatting away. And shortly after that, we could say it's like all hell broke loose. Yeah. Congressman Yarmuth, talk about that day and, you being in the center of that situation. Did it give you a much more appreciation of the whole democratic process?
Well, it did, and it was a day that I never dreamed could happen. None of us who are serving in Congress ever believed that we would see an attack on our workplace, which also happens to be the citadel of democracy in this country. I was in my office. I was not in the House chamber, and so I was experiencing it like most Americans were watching it, the television coverage, and I was there till like 8 o'clock at night, and I did a fair amount of media during the day, and all I could say was, I can't process this. Yeah. It just doesn't it doesn't fit into anything that I can understand. Since that time, having seen more of the footage from what's going on in more detail, and it even becomes harder to process that people who claim to love this country would use the country's flag to assault the very thing where the democracy survives. And so it's a symptom of something very serious in the country. It's certainly not over. As a matter of fact, in some ways it's getting worse because it's so much more overt. And it's manifesting itself in so many ways, like this ridiculous argument over critical race theory in schools. So I'm very fearful for our democracy, and we need to stand up. We need to pass the voting rights bills that we have in the Senate. We need to pass the John Lewis Act, which restores part of the Voting Rights Act that the Supreme Court killed, basically, because there are assaults on democracy throughout this country right now, and we got to be very, very vigilant.
Tyler?
So you were just up the street earlier this week at the Urban League, and you notified families of the new child tax credit, which began disbursement on July 15th. Can you let our members know a little bit more about it? Who qualifies, when they'll receive their payments, and if this will reduce how much someone will receive back on their tax refund?
Sure. Thanks. This, to me, and most of my colleagues, is one of the most exciting things that's happened to bring families out of poverty in this country. So there's always been, there's been for a while, a child tax credit, and it was $2,000 a year per child, but it was a tax credit on your return, and if you didn't file a return, you weren't eligible for it. The expanded child tax credit, which was part of the American Rescue Plan, which is a bill that has my name on it, even though I'm in a house of God, I have to confess, I didn't write one word of it. But it had to come through my committee, and I managed it through the process, so I get to claim credit for all of it.
Claim it.
Yeah, that's what politicians do, right? So what we did was we expanded the child tax credit, so now anyone who has a child 17 years old or younger is eligible for this tax credit. For the next 6 months, actually starting 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, it became a refundable tax credit. So you get a check in the mail or a credit to your bank account for $300 a month if your child is under 6, and $250 a month if it's 6 to 17. Now, if you filed a tax return in 2019 or 2020, you don't have to do anything. It will either be sent to you or your bank account automatically. If you did not file a return in those 2 years, there's a portal where you go in and sign up, and then it asks for your address, and then you'll get the credit. Please, if you didn't file a return in 19 or 20, and if you have children, take advantage of this. It's an amazing credit. It's estimated that this will raise about half the kids in the country out of poverty.
Wow.
In Louisville alone,
I mean, because we're talking about not just a one-time payment. These are monthly payments,
Monthly
you guys.
payments. In Louisville alone, it's 146,000 kids will benefit from this. In Kentucky, it's almost 1 million in the state. And what we're going to try to do, it's a one-year program. What we're trying to do now in the next package that we're working to pass now is to make it permanent. And one thing I'm so proud about the American Rescue Plan, other than the fact that my name's on it, is that under the American Rescue Plan, which was $1.9 trillion worth of spending, not one penny went to the top 1%. Not one penny. This was totally focused. This was totally focused on middle and lower income Americans, the people who have suffered the most in general from the economy, but particularly over the last 16 months.
Wow, that is so amazing. I tell you, everybody just give God, just a wave offering. Amen. Amen.
These are the days I wish I had a child.
I know, right? As chairman of the House Budget Committee, again, we talked about the American Rescue Plan, and you were behind the millions that are going to be coming to the city of Louisville. Can you explain how life-changing this will be for our city? And I also understand that the Metro Council is asking for the community's input on how to spend this money. Talk a little bit about that.
That's right. So Louisville Metro government gets $388 million, which is an incredible amount of money.
Come on now. Yes.
And again, a lot of it is, it's intended generally to do two things. One is repair the damage that's been done to the community and to its citizens and to its businesses. And secondly, to help build the foundation for a more vibrant economy going forward that serves more people. So I testified before the Metro Council Budget Committee the other day, last week, and basically said, I'm not going to tell you how to spend the money. The people of Louisville need to tell you how to spend the money. And they've developed a process for attracting ideas and input as to how we can spend that money because, again, it's free money and it's almost bonus money. And this Commonwealth of Kentucky got just about $2 billion, basically, and a lot of that will come to our community. JCPS got $400 million.
Wow.
$400 million. Yes. So they got more than the city did, actually. And the reason for that was twofold. One is, in order to get our kids back into school and feeling safe, there are a lot of physical structure adaptations that have to be done. So that was part of the recognition. The other part of it was, we know that students lost ground over the last 16 months, and that the school systems are going to have to come up with remedial efforts so that the kids catch back up. So again, it's an enormous amount of money. I mean, Louisville International Airport's already gotten roughly $45 million, and that's from another pool of money, not from. So we're going to see the impact of the American Rescue Plan in a multitude of ways, and again, it's all designed to help the people who are suffering the most.
All right. Well, this is the last and final question. And, I've got to ask this. It's kind of like the white elephant in the room. It's been a little more than a week since Representative Attica Scott announced that she would be challenging you in the 2022 Democratic primary. And she listed her reasoning as being, quote, I am running for Congress for the Louisvillians who have asked me for years to run, including the black women who have never had a representative from Kentucky in Congress who looks like us. What are your thoughts on her decision to run?
Well, first of all, I have a lot of respect for Attica Scott. She's been a champion for equity and equality in so many causes that I support as well. She certainly has every right to challenge me in a primary. The reaction of the community, both black and white, since she made her announcement has been very reassuring to me. I've had just an amazing outpouring of people who said, hey, we got your back, don't worry. So right now, the primary is still, 13, 14 months away? No, I'm sorry, July to May, so it's 10 months away. I've got a lot of work that I have to focus on in Washington. And again, we're working on a proposal that would, among other things, extend the child the expanded child tax credit, provide 2 years of free early childhood education to 3 and 4-year-olds, which I think is the most important thing we can do to guarantee a successful future for our country. If you go down the street a few blocks, and you can visit Keystone Academy, you will see what happens when 3 and 4-year-olds and even kids younger than that get the attention and stimulation that's available. They outperform kids from far wealthier neighborhoods in town because, again, they get this foundation. And, there's going to be additional money for senior care. We're going to, if we pass it, we'll expand Medicare to include vision, dental, and hearing, which is an important addition to Medicare. We do so many things. It's actually almost twice as big in terms of the investment we make in the country and our citizens than the American Rescue Plan was. And if we can do that, it will be transformative. So that's my focus until we can get that done and not an election that's 10 months away.
That's right. All right, Congressman Yarmuth, we thank you so much. And can you make us a promise that if you've got any big legislation or any big information, you'll come right back here on the pre-worship experience and speak to our members?
You bet I will. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much to Congressman John Yarmuth for being our very special guest on our campus comeback. It's the first Sunday of on-campus worship since March of 2020, and we're so excited to have had the chairman as our very special guest.
Hello, I'm Dr. Crystal Narcisse, and I practice internal medicine and pediatrics at Norton Healthcare. Joining me here today is Dr. Katie Hopkins, a pediatric psychologist for Norton Children's Medical Group. Katie, welcome.
Thank you, Crystal. What we're hoping to discuss today is so important. Over this past year, experiencing the COVID-19 pandemic, we've all been impacted in one way or another, including our mental well-being. So I'm hoping that we can have a chance to talk about some tips that parents and teens can take to really improve our well-being during this time.
We know most parents have heard this, but limiting screen time when possible is also essential. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. So I know even in my own house, this has been really tough this year as our kids have become reliant on their screens to do their schoolwork. But then they're wondering, okay, and many parents are wondering, how do we balance the fact that maybe they're on a screen all day long for the purpose of school, but they also rely on screens to connect with their friends, which we've talked about in the past, maybe a way to de-stress and disconnect, which is also really important. So one thing that I talk about with parents and teens is right now, during a time where we really do rely on screens to connect us with the outside world, maybe more so than ever, making sure though that it never gets in the way of those essential daily functions. So one of the things that I talk about in my practice is making sure that they do that morning routine, getting up, getting dressed, getting ready to go for the day, maybe doing chores first before they get on their screens. If you want to get on your screen for an hour, you got to get out for 30 minutes and walk. So really connecting healthy lifestyle and then screen time. And so having that kind of that back and forth, that balance can really make sure that kids are getting the exercise that they need, eating on a regular basis, all of those good things. And then of course, using the screens that we know that they enjoy. Starts with getting up at the same time every day and going to bed at the same time every day. So you start with some good bookends. That in itself is going to establish a good routine. So if you're making sure that your teen, right now teens really they tend to be night owls and they like to sleep in. That's one of the silver linings of this year, is that we actually get to allow our teens to do that. They don't have to get up at 6 a.m. to go to school. And so allowing them to sleep in a little bit later, 8, 9 o'clock, is totally fine, as long as they're getting up pretty consistently at that 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. hour. And then getting up, brushing their teeth, washing their face, getting dressed. Even if it's in comfy clothes, that's totally fine. Changing your clothes is super important. Maybe that's when they take a shower. So helping reinforce those self-care activities to really start the day. Making sure they're getting out for 30 minutes a day to exercise, getting out in the sunshine. Eating on a regular basis, breakfast, lunch, dinner. This is a really wonderful time if you've been lucky enough to work from home and have, spending all that time with your family, being able to sit down and have those meals together can be really wonderful.
I know that we're talking about pediatrics today, but these tips, I can use these tips myself. And actually, I'm going to share this with my adult patients in my practice. So
Awesome.
This has been so awesome.
Awesome. Yes, it's good. The same tips apply for us, too.
Yes. Dr. Hopkins, thank you so much for joining us today. You've given us a lot of great information. And if you would like to seek additional support and resources from your pediatrician near you, you can schedule an appointment online at nortonchildrens.com or call 629-KIDS.
Hey, church family, our special guest today is no stranger to each and every one of you. He wears several titles here at St. Stephen Church. He's one of our youth directors. He is the worship's fine arts leader on our Hardin County campus, and you also know him as director and soloist extraordinaire. Welcome, Mr. James Davis. Welcome, James.
Hey, family. How y'all doing?
And another title that he is now is author. There is a saying, I'm a person that loves quotes, James, and there's a quote that says, if you're going to live, leave a legacy. Make a mark on the world that can't be erased. And you decided to not allow your mom's passing to be in vain, but take something that was very near and dear to her and go ahead and get it published. And I guess we could say the rest is history. Speak Life. Go ahead and tell just share your story with our congregation about you leading and extending your mom's legacy.
Sure. Well, as many as you may know, my mom passed she transitioned in 2019 of May. And it was hard because we didn't know that she was going to transition. We took her to the hospital on a Friday. She passed on that following Monday after Mother's Day. And after we buried my mom, I went straight into summer camp. So I really didn't have time to process what had just happened. So fast forward a year later, we're finally moving my mom's things out of her house. And we're looking through her things and we see all of her poems that she started writing maybe 10 years ago, wanting to publish a book. And I took all the poems and things and it dawned on me, you know what, I'm going to make it happen. I said, I'm going to make it happen. And so I gave the poems to someone else to type up because I really didn't want to face it. Okay. But the person did her best, but she wasn't meeting my deadline. So I took the poems, but little did I know that was when my grieving process would start, because I had to physically type the poems myself. And it helped me. It's helping me through my grieving process because I was able to read her words and she was able to restore unto me the life that I thought was gone, her legacy, and my mom, she was the real deal. She was a pastor. She was a minister. She was an encourager. She was a survivor. Okay. And she spoke all of that. And I said, Lord, just help me to get through it. Help me to do it. And he did just that. And I contributed a couple of things. So I was able to write with my mom. Okay. And it has been a journey of endurance. It's been a journey of love, a journey of labor. And this book will speak to so many people. If you're dealing with depression, if you're dealing with loneliness, if you're dealing with being a single mother, a prodigal son, or anything like that, this book will help you. I have one in there called Snatched from Death with my experiences from dealing with suicidal thoughts and depression, and how God snatched me from taking my own life. Okay. So, and God has birthed my dream back into me because my dream had laid dormant for so long because I was helping everyone else make their dreams come true. I was helping everybody else's visions come to life. And I had put my things on the back burner because I've done some things as far as plays and things like that when I was in Frankfurt. But I went a different direction when I came to Louisville. But God said, I got something for you. I gave you something.
Wow.
I gave you something special, you know.
Wow.
So
James, what a phenomenal story, though. And I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that this was divine, a divine order. Your mom always wanting to have her own book, and then for you to just stumble upon her writing. And a lot of times we can turn our pain into purpose.
Most definitely.
Talk about one of your favorite poems that your mom did in this book. Can you read us a passage real quick?
You know what? I can actually. This one's called just going to give you a little bit. It's called The Journey. Okay. And it says, the road you travel is not for the faint of heart. The passage is for the more than the conqueror and only for the set apart. You go through far more than the ones who counted you out, those who speak death on you, not realizing you are more than what they talk about. Your journey is different. Your steps are ordered by God's divine plan. You are more than a conqueror because you never let loose his hand. You face life head on, even when it seems to be no end in sight. But the faith planted on the inside will not let you give up the fight. Yet in your mind, there are many battles you will feel you can't win, but the fact you are still breathing proves God is with you until your journey ends. So that's just an excerpt of one of hers.
Oh my gosh, James, that is so powerful.
Yeah.
Tell me what that poem means to you. What do you think your mom was trying to communicate with that word?
You know what? She was honestly trying to tell you that your journey is your journey, and you can't. You have to follow your own script, okay? And some people say that some people don't know your story, okay? They don't know that you are more than a conqueror. There are some people who haven't been through anything, okay? And that's a testimony all in itself. But if you've been through some things, and my mom been through some things, I'm talking about domestic abuse. I'm talking about, and people only think that it affects the one that's being beat, but it affects the whole family, okay?
Yeah.
That whole situation sent me into foster care. And that's a whole nother story, okay? But God kept me, okay? Yeah. But that thing followed me through college. I'm talking about through depression, through a nervous breakdown where I had to leave the school, you know, and people look at me and say, why do you do the things you do? Why do you praise God so hard? Because he kept me and he's keeping me. Yeah, that was my journey. And I didn't know that being in foster care would position me for such a time as this, because I run to parents who need help with their child who happens to be in foster care. So who better else to talk to them than somebody who's been through the system?
Wow.
You know.
Wow, such a blessing. Speak Life, and that is Mr. James Davis's book. He's a contributing author, but he published this beautiful book, a collection of poems and writings penned by the great Juanita E. Ingram Belmar. James, tell our tell the viewers how they can get a copy of this book.
Awesome. You can actually go on Amazon and you can purchase the book that way. But if you live in Louisville, I will have books on me at all times. I'm on all 3 campuses, and just get in touch with me. You can hit me up on Facebook or anything like that, or ask anybody at church, any worship leader, they can get in touch with me.
All right. Mr. James Davis, is there anything else you want to say before you go? Any words of encouragement that you would like to lend to someone who may find themselves in the very situation that you found yourself in back in 2019?
Most definitely. I would tell you to go through the process and trust God. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to let it out. Write it down, because what you're going to do, you're going to help someone else. You're going to help someone else. Men, don't be afraid to cry. It's okay. You're still going to be a man when you wake up. All right?
I know that is right. Mr. James Davis, thank you so much. We love you. We appreciate you. And get a copy of that book today, Speak Life.
Amen. Thank you so much.
We're here to discuss a topic a lot of parents are asking about, COVID-19 vaccination for children. I'm Dr. Crystal Narcisse, and I practice internal medicine and pediatrics at Norton Healthcare. I'm here today with Dr. Katie Hopkins.
Hi, I'm Dr. Hopkins, and I'm a pediatric psychologist with Norton Children's Medical Group.
Dr. Hopkins, I'm going to start off with talking about the potential benefits of the vaccine. Number one, we know that children, when they get COVID-19, are less likely to get very sick or wind up in the hospital. However, they can spread it to other people. And what we're trying to do is limit the amount of people getting the virus and the amount of death and hospitalizations. So one, we know that the more people who are vaccinated, the more we can return to normal life. Kids hanging out with their friends, seeing family members they haven't seen for the last 18 months, and also hopefully going to school full time.
So I think it's really important to emphasize how important it is for our kids to get back to seeing their friends and getting back to those social activities that they've really missed out on over the course of these past 14 months or so. That's really super vital to our mental health, to their mental health. We've seen the impacts of removing those activities and those friends and social interactions in our kids, and so really making sure that they're healthy when they're spending time with their friends is going to be super important in not only protecting their physical health but also improving their mental health. And I think that that's such an important thing right now for us all to consider. I know a lot of parents are really wondering about the difference between FDA approval and emergency use approval. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. With FDA approval of a vaccine, it usually takes years for that to happen. With emergency use, the process by which the COVID vaccination, it has been a little shorter. However, corners have not been cut. It has been studied in over 2,000 children, and the vaccine has been determined to be safe. What has been shortened is the manufacturing process. So the vaccine is safe. Children are less likely to have any side effects. The side effects of the vaccine are a tenderness at the vaccination site, sometimes feeling a little ill, feverish, and sometimes you can get lymph nodes that can be a little bit large, and sometimes that can get a little tender. But for the most part, the vaccine is safe for children. Katie, I get asked the question a lot. We do not know the effects of the vaccine in 5 to 10 years. What I can tell you that with COVID-19, if you get it, you can have brain fogginess, malaise, fatigue, weakness, lots of those things. And getting the vaccine can help prevent you from having that. So for me, it is almost a situation of the lesser of two evils. And I'm not calling the vaccine evil, but I do know that I personally don't want to get COVID-19 or pass it on to my family or my patients. And getting the vaccine will help prevent children from passing along to their grandparents, their parents, and other people. We encourage parents to learn more about the safety and effectiveness of the coronavirus vaccines. If you have further questions, please reach out to your child's pediatrician. If you are ready to schedule a COVID-19 vaccination for your child, you can schedule online at nortonchildrens.com.
Located in a one-of-a-kind city that's known for its unique bourbon culture, the Kentucky Derby, and baseball's most iconic bat, Halo Media is just as unique. This millennial and minority-owned advertising agency has assisted companies large and small to develop advertising strategies and creative content that goes further. Halo Media proudly offers advertising, branding, creative content, experiential marketing, public relations, social media management, and website design. Our team at Halo is committed to connecting relevant creative to culture. Halo Media, Good people, great work.
Congratulations on your new baby. Breastfeeding can be challenging, but you don't have to do it alone. There are a lot of breastfeeding resources out there, but we know that sometimes just the thought of leaving the house to make an appointment or a support group can be overwhelming. We want you to get the help and support you need, whenever you need it. Providers like myself are available 24/7, even in the middle of the night, to meet you virtually through Norton eCare. A virtual breastfeeding visit gives you flexibility. You can make an appointment for whenever and wherever it's convenient for you. You do not have to be a current Norton Healthcare patient to take advantage of this free service. All you need is a MyNorton Chart account and an internet-connected device with a camera. If you don't already have a MyNorton Chart account, signing up is easy. Talk to a trusted breastfeeding specialist through a secure, face-to-face video connection so we can see you and your baby if we need to. We can talk you through things like latching and pumping and discuss mastitis, pain, thrush, and more. Since all of us at Norton eCare are local nurse practitioners, we can prescribe medications and refer you to in-person services if either are needed. Visit our website at nortonhealthcare.com/virtual lactation to learn more.
Hello, my name is Dr. Crystal Narcisse, and I practice internal medicine and pediatrics at Norton Healthcare. We're here today to discuss depression in teens and give some guidance on how to support your child. With me here today is Dr. Katie Hopkins, a pediatric psychologist for Norton Children's Medical Group. Katie, welcome.
Thank you, Crystal. It's great to be here. You know, the teen years can be extremely tough, and depression affects teenagers more often than I think we really realize. I think now more than ever, it's important that we get together and discuss what parents and teens can do to help prevent depression, and if it does occur, what they can do about it.
Let's start off with some advice for parents. So what are some signs of depression that you can look out for?
So certainly, as I said, long periods of time where that you're feeling irritable or you notice that your teen is feeling irritable or sad. Typically what we look for in the mental health field is if you've had been feeling sadness or depression, irritability for longer than a period of 2 weeks. But on top of that, we're also looking at functional changes. So significantly disrupted sleep, changes in appetite. Either you're eating more, your teen is eating more, or eating less than usual. So we know that sometimes teens can go through periods where their appetite is changing, but again, this is outside their typical appetite. Disruptions in sleep, appetite, energy level, loss of motivation, not experiencing pleasure in the activities that they typically do. So we all know, hopefully, what our teens love to do. If you don't, you should ask them, what do they enjoy doing? But if you find that they're not enjoying those activities, that can be a big sign too.
So if you're looking for a pediatrician to answer any questions for you or help you get connected with resources, please visit nortonchildrens.com/pediatrician or call 629-KIDS. Katie, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another ministry moment. I'm Lisa Day Byers, your host. It's so good to see you again. Today, we're going to have a very special interview with a sister who has something to say to the millennials. Every ministry moment that we share with you is just another opportunity for you to join in and participate in the many ministries of St. Stephen Church. So today we're going to be talking to J. Renee Williams. She's one of our ministers here at St. Stephen Church, and she gives leadership to the millennial ministry in Hardin County, and I'm so proud to have her here. I just want to say one thing before we start talking to J. Renee. She's just smiling. Hey, girl. Hey. But, well, let me just ask you this question. Now, you can be seen weekly on a program that you present to millennials across the network. Tell us a little bit about your program.
Well, that program is Real Talk, and Real Talk is the idea of the millennials. You know, I jumped out here and they gave me a lot of their ideas, a lot of situations they were going through, and they want to live life. How do I put these issues in with Christ? You know, how does all of this come together? How do I live this the real way? And we want you to know you're not alone, and people here who have been through what you've been through can help you through. I want them to know that they are connected and we are connected with them.
So, you know, statistically, they say millennials are those people born, say, 1980 to 2000. Those are considered the millennials. And one of the things that's said about folks born in that generation is that we're not connected with them. And it sounds like with your program that that is Real Talk. With Real Talk, what you're trying to do is to connect and to say that your issues are my issues, because we've been there and we've done that. And so we know how we feel, how you feel rather, but also Jesus knows how you feel. And we want you to know that he knows how you feel too. And he wants to connect with you just where you are. Sounds like that's what Real Talk is about.
That's what it's all about, Reverend Lisa Byers.
So, you know, you're talking about Real Talk now. How can a person engage in just being a part of that program? What days are you on? What time are you on? And how can they just get connected to come in and talk with you?
We release a program every third Tuesday at 7.
And, you know, I'd like for those who are watching us to understand that Real Talk can be seen every third Tuesday. You can go on to one of our, ssclive.tv or .com, and you can watch those programs, even the ones that have been recorded in the past, Real Talk. They can see all of those, and they can not only see those programs or view those programs, but they can come in and talk with you about, you know, how they feel about what they've heard or offer their comments. The other thing I want to ask you is that is Real Talk only for people who are members of St. Stephen Church?
Listen, Real Talk is for anybody who needs some real talk. And they can talk with me too. They can hit me on Twitter, J. Renee at Real Talk. And hey, I will be glad to address any questions.
What are some of the things that you can see the millennial ministry of St. Stephen Church doing as we move forward?
So we started a program where we help with finances, budgeting, vision.
Once again, J. Renee Williams, thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for giving leadership to this ministry. And we look forward to hearing what you're going to do in the future. For all of those who are watching, we thank you so much for joining in Ministry Moments today. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Remember to just be a part of it. Get engaged. It's a new day. We're doing it a new way. And we want you to just stay connected.
Yes.
God bless you. Hello, I'm Lisa Day Byers, and I serve as Director of Ministries at St. Stephen Church, and this is another ministry moment. Today, I am so excited to talk with Ebony Ingram Jones, who gives leadership to women's ministry, that is Sisters in Spirit, on the Louisville campus.
I am well. I'm doing well, and you?
I'm doing very well, and I'm really excited about talking to you today because women's ministry has always been a passion for St. Stephen Church, not just for me, but for the church, because we know that the women drive things at St. Stephen Church. So when we think about women's ministry, Ebony, tell me, what is it that you want to see women's ministry do at St. Stephen Church? What would you say is the essential mission or purpose for St. Stephen women's ministry?
Our church motto speaks to exactly what we want the Sisters in Spirit ministry to do. And that is just connect. That's what, in a nutshell, we want to just connect women of all walks of life, all ages, all demographics. And now in the era of technology, all over the world.
So talk to us a little bit about how we have navigated the whole COVID season in women's ministry.
Yes. If you want something done and you want it done quickly and you want it done effectively, call a woman. And so we now conduct our fellowships every second Saturday of the month at 12 o'clock with Sassy, and women get to come in and we have the most excellent conversations and engaging activities, and we are able to talk about just a varying, just a broad topic base for us.
So we're going to go back into the building really soon.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that we're going to shut down our virtual ministry?
Absolutely not. We are tasked with doing whatever we can in however many ways that we can in touching as many people as we can. And what we've discovered is we can connect with people through Sassy that wouldn't otherwise connect with us because they don't live in the city. So we don't want to take away and just go back to business as usual. We're going to take the positives of COVID and apply it so that we can attempt and achieve greater works in his name.
Talk to us a little bit about who, number one, can be a part of women's ministry. I know we kind of said that, but I want to say it again because it bears repeating. And
Correct.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we are planning to do as we move forward in ministry post-COVID. Mm-hmm.
Sure. So we have one requirement to be a part of the women's ministry, and that is just that you are a woman. So if you are a woman and you see the value in fellowship and ministry and doing the work of Christ in the church, then you, ma'am, are a part of the women's ministry.
That is so wonderful. So the women's ministry is going to do greater works.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a new day. Mm-hmm. We're doing it a new way. And we want you to be connected to the women's ministry at St. Stephen Church.
Yes,
so if you're a woman, you're connected. Ebony, thank you so much for spending this time with us and sharing with us women's ministry. I pray that some sister who says, I don't know how I can be connected with St. Stephen, but I want to be. I pray that that sister heard this and that she's going to just be connected. Thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to what women's ministry is going to do moving forward.
Oh,
so, yes. So next, join me for our next ministry moment when we'll talk to another ministry leader who's going to give you another opportunity to get involved and be connected at St. Stephen. God bless you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another ministry moment. I am your host, Lisa Day Byers. I'm so excited to talk about the ministry that I'm going to introduce you to today. Now, ministry moments are all about sharing with you and introducing you to the many ministries that are at work here at St. Stephen Church. And you know, our new theme is a new day, a new way. Be connected. We want you to be connected to a ministry, get involved with your church. And today we're going to be talking to Diane Harbin, and she gives leadership to a ministry that's a part of women's ministry called Sassy. And so I'm going to bring in Diane and welcome Diane to this conversation.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so glad to have you here. I just want to talk for just a moment about how Sassy started. So, you know, Reverend Cosby always wants us to be proactive and to continue to make sure that we're reaching out to our congregation and beyond. So he wanted a ministry that would speak to the quote unquote senior women of St. Stephen Church. Well, when I approached Diane about a senior women's ministry, she wasn't having it, because what she knew is that Sassy would speak to all of the women at any age and any generation, and she wanted to make sure that all women were invited to the conversation rather. Is that correct, Diane?
That is absolutely correct. When we were referred to as the senior citizens, we didn't know exactly how we felt about that. So we identified ourselves, because one of the things we said was that we are just too sassy. That's how the name began to come. We're too
And
sassy.
what is SASSY? What does that acronym stand for?
It's an acronym for St. Stephen's and Women of Impact. It's the point of it. I can't remember what all the letters are for. But we want to indicate that we, as members, had an impact. But I think what was more important is that we began to understand that things are different. Things change. And if we don't change, we're going to be left behind. And left behind in changing things like how we use computers, how we use our phones, how we even talk to each other. The virus, shut us all down, and we really missed church and missed each other, and we had to learn how to adapt and adjust to that. And that's a bit more difficult the older you get. So we sort of made a resolution that we were not going to operate under that stereotype, that anything anybody else was able to do, the electric slide or whatever the name of it is now, we were willing to try that. We were willing to try that. But what we began to focus on in this new reality, we had to be up to the challenge to remold, redetermine, redo, remake, and recreate with all of our lives. We had to do things different. And, we all kind of also know that we are the same as our parents were at our age. I'm 74 years old. Now, my mother passed when I was 68, but my relatives, my aunts, when they were my age, they were old ladies. And I am not an old lady.
Okay, Diane, thank you for that. But I want everybody listening to know that SASSY doesn't stand alone. It's a part of women's ministry, and it's the part that meets every month online. And you prove, as you said, that women who are senior can connect even with today's technology. So it's a challenge. But okay, so during this COVID time, we've met every month. And we've talked, and I say we because I've been a part of the meetings, and we've talked about many things. What are some of the topics that we have tackled during this time?
Well, one of the last ones we had was us talking to millennials and trying to establish a conversation between the older generations and the younger generations, and what it is that we think about each other, because we don't always say. And we also wanted to allow the millennial, and they're not just, I start to say members, but they weren't just members. It was anybody who wanted to be involved. We wanted them to have an opportunity to tell us, without us being judgmental, without us saying, well, y'all don't keep jobs and y'all sag your pants and y'all do, rather than being critical, to hear what they had to say about themselves and about us.
And it was a beautiful conversation. And the thing that I like about what we're doing is what you said earlier. This is not just a conversation for members of Sisters of St. Stephen. It's for people all over the country. And we've had people from different states to tune into our SASSY meetings. Yes. And just like the General Congregation of St. Stephen Church, I've seen us reach a larger group of people simply because we're online and we're having virtual conversations. And another thing I've seen SASSY do, and that is invite men in from time to time to talk about that side?
Well, we had a wonderful conversation with the men's. We connected with the men's ministry to talk about what they thought about women, what they think about us. We didn't so much say what we thought about them. We thought we'd give them the floor, and so it was called "Give the Men the Mic."
Okay.
And they took the mic.
Yes.
That was an excellent conversation. Had a lot of energy into it. But the topics that we choose, we try to make relevant for today.
Yes.
We talk about things that are happening we talk about Donald Trump. We talk about things that are happening right now in order to keep up abreast of what is happening, because it's so many things. Your mind could explode from all of the things that we have to keep up with. The voting rights situation, Stacey Abrams, just all kinds of things.
Yeah, politics in general, and so when we talk about SASE, we've already established that it's not just for members of Sisters of St. Stephen, but it's for anyone who wants to tune in. So when do we meet on SASE?
We meet on the second Saturday of each month, and we send out a link so that, because it's a Zoom meeting, it's a virtual meeting. So we send out the link, and anybody who wants to join can join. And of course, we have some regulars.
Yes.
They're from day one, and they're still there. I think with the men, we had about 50 people on that call, 48, 50 people, something like that. So it has been very enlightening. It has just been, and this started out as a small group. It's still a small group of 6 women that just met after church and went to eat sometimes and talked about whatever it was. We talked husbands, boyfriends, men, Reverend Cosby, the sermon, anything we wanted to talk about. And that was just so free and so comfortable that we decided that we needed to do that all the time.
And I think that's what's really important about the second Saturday meetings with SASE, is that they're free, that you can come. When I say free, I don't mean, of course, there's no charge for it, but I mean there's a freedom in the meeting to speak and talk about whatever the topic is and be heard. Now, you mentioned that there's a link that you send out, but at the end of this, we're going to put the meeting ID number and the password. So if you don't get a link and you go to Zoom, and you can put that information in and join us every second Saturday of the month. And we meet from 12 to 2 every second Saturday of the month. And we want every sister under the sound of my voice, under the sound of Sister Diane's voice, to join us in our next SASE meeting. So moving forward, I know that you've got some interesting topics that we're going to discuss, and interesting topics for us to think about, Diane. I know that you have, you and the group of sisters that you work with.
We have talked about how we, because this takes some time to pull it together and organize it. So we've talked about the role of the church, gender and race, power of kindness and power and kindness, beauty, motherhood, love and relationships, mental health in the Black community, friendships. So it's a number. It really spans a number of things. And we also get ideas from the people who are involved in the ministry in terms of what they'd like to talk about. I thought this was really interesting. One of the things that came up was maybe we ought to have a conversation about the Asian community and all of the grief that they're getting. And what we realized in trying to sort that out was none of us knew an Asian person.
Wow. That's something to think about.
Yeah, that was amazing to me. We don't know.
Yes.
And it's easy, not easy, but I can understand how white people don't know a lot about us. I mean, when you have white people that don't know any black people, we found ourselves in the same kind of situation. We didn't have one black Asian friend in our whole group.
Wow.
So,
Well, those are things to think about and things to talk about. And that's one of the things we love about our Sassy meetings, Diane, is that we get to talk about everything and we get to hear ideas, not just the things that we thought about, but we welcome ideas from our listeners. Diane, thank you so much for talking about Sassy. And my hope is that after this conversation, this ministry moment, somebody's going to reach out and say, hey, I want to be involved with that. I want to get involved with Sassy. And at the end of this, you're going to see the link, as I mentioned earlier, the information so that you can join our Sassy meeting. You're also going to have a way that you can reach out if you have any questions or comments you'd like to make, to talk to the members of Sassy through the Women's Ministry of St. Stephen. So once again, Diane, thank you so much. And I thank you for listening to this ministry moment, and join us again when we'll have another special ministry leader to talk about what's going on at St. Stephen Church. God bless you. I'm Reverend Lisa Day, and I serve as Director of Ministries at St. Stephen Church, but this is something new. You know, our new theme is a new day, it's a new way, and we want you to be connected, and we want you to be connected in ministry. So we're now offering these ministry moments for you so that you can see what St. Stephen has to offer, and you yourself can be involved. And say that one of the things that helps you to be a part of your church is being involved. And we're going to show you and share with you how. So today, I'm going to have a ministry moment with Sister Carolyn Collins. Now, Sister Carolyn Collins, she gives leadership to our grief ministry, which is a very, very much needed ministry. And I'd like for her to share a little bit about the grief ministry. Welcome, Carolyn.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity. And it's a great opportunity to share with you about the grief ministry, because we as a culture, we have learned through the years just to grin and bear it and not reach out to get the help that we need.
Okay. Okay, I mean, and that's really important to say. So tell me a little bit about the mission or the purpose of the grief ministry.
The purpose of the grief ministry is to supply a ministry where you have like-minded people that have went through some of the things you have went through. So when they talk to you, they're talking from their heart. They're talking from their own experiences. And this is an opportunity for you to bear it all. And they in turn can tell you their experiences, and you can share survival techniques and tips. But the most important thing is to know that you're not alone, that the grief ministry is here for you, but also to build your relationship with God, because God is the one that said he will never leave you nor forsake you. And many times when you get caught up in grief, you forget that and you think you're all alone. So by the grief ministry itself, one, you have a partner to be with you through the process, and two, you have a reminder that God has never left you. He will never, never forget about you.
And that's good to know. And you yourself, you're a part of this ministry, or give leadership to this ministry because you yourself have had a deep grief. So tell us how you personally got involved with the grief ministry.
My husband unexpectedly passed away. And in fact, it was so quick. We were getting ready to take him to the hospital for his broken ankle, and I left out of the room for a split second, came back, and he was gone. And he had never been sick a day in his life. So at that point, I went into a suicidal depression because all I thought of myself was a wife and mother. And so when he passed away, those items were gone and I was lost and I didn't know how to handle it. And so I went into a suicidal depression, more or less, take me too. I'm ready to go too. We had been married 42 years and we were high school sweethearts. So we got married right after high school. So my whole world crashed. And I didn't know how to get out of that suicidal depression. And my friend Vanta, she called me and she asked me, what was I doing? And I said, nope, I'm not doing nothing, just to get out of here. And she recognized the shape I was in, and she came over and physically got me out of the house. And we went to St. Stephen's Grief Ministry. And there I found a lot of different people hurting and in pain from the loss of their loved ones. And what really got me was this little old lady. She was a lot older lady, said that she lost her husband, the love of her life, and now she doesn't know what to do. And it was like, she's like me. And now I'm perked up, and it's like, okay, maybe this can help me.
Now, I really love that story. And the reason I'm telling you why is because the scripture tells us to do exactly what Vanta did. Vanta lost her husband, and she know how it felt. And when your husband passed away, she came to share her experience with you. And the scripture tells us to comfort those with the same comforter wherewith we've been comforted. So because she came to get you, and then you decided you're going to go get others.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Right. Yeah, because it helped me so much, because I was in real trouble and I never heard of a grief ministry or workshop or nothing. I just felt all alone. And finding that, and I thought it was so valuable. Plus, it added purpose to my husband's passing. So now I have a purpose, and I could focus on this purpose, and that's to bring it down in the West End area and to give it to other people, because I didn't know of anything else at that time in the area, and I just wanted to help others like I was helped.
Well, that is so beautiful, because that begs me to ask the question, so who can participate in the grief ministry? Is that just for St. Stephen members, or who?
Anyone can participate. It doesn't matter what church you belong to, or if you don't belong to a church. It doesn't matter what religion or non-religion. It's about helping you through your grief. And in helping you through that grief, you will not only find others that you can identify with that can help you and tell you things and to help you get to a better healing place, but also you will learn in developing the relationship with God. Like my relationship with God is so strong now, but it's because of the death of my husband, where I reached out more to God. And now he's like my best friend. I talk to him all the time about everything.
And he really loves that God loves us when we can tell him how we feel, whether that's up or whether that's down, it doesn't matter. But what's beautiful about the grief ministry is that it opens the doors for others who feel like they may be all alone, that nobody understands. It opens the doors for you to come together and have conversation. Now, the grief ministry meets every third Tuesday of the month via Zoom, correct?
Correct. At 6 o'clock every third Tuesday. And on the grief ministry, I have an assistant leader. I have a prayer partner from the prayer ministry. And we come together, and our sole purpose is to help you through this grief process, through the stages of grief, to let you know you're not alone, you're not by yourself, you're not the only person that has gone through this grief process. And that is the sole purpose of it. And along the way, you will develop your relationship with God, and you will find out He has never left you. He has always been there with you.
Thank you so much, Carolyn, for all of this knowledge, and thank you for introducing the grief ministry to so many. And I want you to know out there, those of you who are listening, if you are grieving or if you have a loved one who's grieving, we're going to put some information on the screen that will help you to connect with the grief ministry of St. Stephen Church so that you too might be involved. Now, this has been a great ministry moment, and we've talked with Sister Carolyn Collins, who gives leadership to the Grief Ministry of St. Stephen Church. Thank you for being with us. And we want you to come back again for our next ministry moment. Hello, everyone. This is Lisa Day Byers, the host of Ministry Moments. And this is a moment that you don't want to miss. So today, I'm so excited to talk about one of our ministries that's been a part of St. Stephen Church. I've been there for 27 years, and it was there long before I got there. And it's the men's ministry. And today, I'm going to be talking to Deacon Ed Maxwell, who's also co-leads the men's ministry with Minister William Fortson. So today we're going to be talking to Deacon Ed Maxwell, who's doing some wonderful things in men's ministry. And I want him to just share a little bit about how men's ministry has continued to flourish during this year, or these 16 months when we have not been able to enter the doors, but the ministry has flourished. So welcome, Ed Maxwell. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yes, it's so good to have you. So, we have been on a 16-month shutdown, and we're about to head back into the sanctuary. But the good news is that men's ministry was not defunct during those 16 months. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that are going on in men's ministry.
One of the things we started a long time ago, we got to looking around and trying to decide what could we do when the pandemic came out. So I was able to get actually signed into an organization and get masks for the entire church, and also for the outreach programs that we had. To date, we've actually sent out distributed about 3,000 masks to different organizations, as well as different things that have been going on within the church. We went virtual with our prayer breakfast and went by monthly, and we've had people like, as our speakers, Tim Finley, Alex Campbell, Richard Reynolds. Then we did one with the women with Reverend Dr. Maxine Thomas. I'm going to keep rattling here, and you stop me if you want to, Lisa.
Well, I want to stop you for just a moment right now, and you continue to meet. Now, has men's ministry stayed sort of the same number, or has having this platform caused the men's ministry to grow?
It's actually, I think, grown some. So we meet anywhere from, we might in a week's time see, with the 2 nights that we meet, we might see anywhere from 35 to 50 men, which we hadn't been doing in the past. So that's been going pretty well.
So you meet, tell me how often you meet and when you meet, what days you meet.
On Wednesday night after our service, we have our book club, and we ventured out, didn't know how it would actually go. It's been a real success. On a Thursday night, we have what we call our roundtable discussion. It's kind of an open roundtable where we bring in different discussions, and we'll also have a lot of guests that actually come in for question and answer sessions.
And so that book club, you said it meets every Wednesday after worship service. So tell me around what time that happens.
That happens at 8:45, and usually it goes to about 10:15.
Anything you'd like to share about some future things?
Well, one of the things we just recently did, we got invited to All Hands on Deck, which was down at Hotel Louisville, and it had several speakers. And the whole program was about how do we curb gun violence. And we challenged ourselves, what can we do with the younger people, especially the younger men in the church, to help them do modeling ministry and monitoring some of the actual concepts that we actually have in men's ministry when we come out of this pandemic.
Thank you so much. And to all of you who are listening, this has been another ministry moment. Thank you so much. And we welcome you to come again and listen to and hear more about what St. Stephen Church is doing to reach out to the community and even the world through the ministries of our church. God bless you. Hello, everyone. This is another ministry moment, and I am your host, Lisa Day Byers. So excited about ministry moments. They are designed so that you will know the ministries of St. Stephen Church with the object of getting involved. Our new theme for St. Stephen, our new motto is a new day, a new way, be connected. And we want you to be connected in ministry because when you get involved with your church truly becomes your church. So get involved and be connected. So today, our ministry leader that we will be interviewing is Tawan Harris. Now, she gives leadership to the women's ministry on our Hardin County campus.
Hey, Miss Lisa, how are you doing?
I'm doing so good, and it's so good to see you, and it's such a pleasure to talk to you today. You know, thank you for your leadership on Hardin County campus, and you've done some wonderful things. I was talking with Ebony Ingram Jones, and Ebony was talking about the wonderful thing that you've done for women's ministry during COVID and creating a monthly newsletter. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so we had to be really innovative since we were not able to meet in person. So since we weren't able to minister face to face, we had to develop new ministry strategies and learn new ways of ministering with one another via Zoom, a variety of apps, text messages, phone calls, and etc. And the newsletter was one of the things that we had used to kind of keep the ladies encouraged, to let them know what was going on across all the campuses, and mainly to just keep them in the know.
Talk about some of the activities that you've had during COVID via Zoom.
So we've had bingo, we've had tea parties, and we also have like this Wreath 101 that is currently scheduled this Saturday.
So as we move forward, because we're about to go back in the building, Tawan, and that's going to be really exciting as of July 18th. So what are some of the things that you can see moving forward?
And so our post-COVID plan will be to re-energize our current leaders and to help our online members to feel a part of the process. And so many people feel very overwhelmed about the return. So part of that planning process includes implementing ways or creating strategies to bring us back into full alignment with God's calling for our women in the church and the leaders of our ministry. So we plan to reestablish creating those best practices, doing the things that worked well. You know, when we come together, we may plan brunches and cook-offs and things, but we also will invite, and like, I'm trying to think of the word I'm using, like flood the social media with all of the fun we're having so that the online campus will know that it's safe to return. So we want to maintain that online presence as well. And what I'd like to say in closing is that you said it, all women are a part of the women's ministry.
Thank you so much, Tawan. Thank you, Tawan Harris. She gives leadership to women's ministry on the Hardin County campus. So sisters, please join in and be a part of women's ministry there. And at the end of this, we're going to have some information on the screen as to how you can contact Tawan Harris Women's Ministry. If you have any questions or comments you'd like to make, she certainly would welcome them. Another ministry moment has gone by. We thank you so much. We want you to be involved, be connected to ministry, because then St. Stephen becomes your church. God bless you. To another ministry moment. I am your host, Lisa Day Byers. Today, we're going to be talking to Diane Harbin, and she gives leadership to a ministry that's a part of women's ministry called SASSY.
When we were referred to as the senior citizens, we didn't know exactly how we felt about that. So we identified ourselves, because one of the things we said was that we are just too sassy. That's how the name began to come. Which is
And what is SASSY? What does that acronym stand for?
It's an acronym for St. Stephen's and Women of Impact. It's the point of it. I can't remember what all the letters are for. What we began to focus on in this new reality, we had to be up to the challenge to remold, redetermine, redo, remake, and recreate with all of our lives.
What are some of the topics that we have tackled during this time?
Well, one of the last ones we had was us talking to millennials and trying to establish a conversation between the older generations and the younger generations.
Yes.
We talk about things that are happening we talk about Donald Trump, we talk about things that are happening right now in order to keep up abreast of what is happening, because it's so many things. Your mind could explode from all of the things that we have to keep up with. The voting rights situation, Stacey Abrams, just all kinds of things.
So when we talk about SASSY, we've already established that it's not just for members of Sisters of St. Stephen, but it's for anyone who wants to tune in. So when do we meet on SASSY?
We meet on the second Saturday of each month. It has just been, and this started out as a small group, it's still a small group of 6 women that just met after church and went to eat sometimes and talked about whatever it was. Husbands, boyfriends, men, Reverend Cosby, the sermon, anything we wanted to talk about. And that was just so free and so comfortable that we decided that we needed to do that all the time.
Well, those are things to think about and things to talk about. And that's one of the things we love about our SASSY meetings, Diane, is that we get to talk about everything and we get to hear ideas, not just the things that we thought about, but we welcome ideas from our listeners. Diane, thank you so much for talking about SASSY. And my hope is that after this conversation, this ministry moment, somebody's going to reach out and say, hey, I want to be involved with that. I want to get involved with SASSY. And at the end of this, you're going to see the link, as I mentioned earlier, the information so that you can join our SASSY meeting. You're also going to have a way that you can reach out if you have any questions or comments you'd like to make, to talk to the members of SASSY through the Women's Ministry of St. Stephen. So once again, Diane, thank you so much. And I thank you for listening to this ministry moment, and join us again when we'll have another special ministry leader to talk about what's going on at St. Stephen Church. God bless you.